I noticed a common thread. They all had to be secured. They all had to have, patches and updates and this and that. And I was way more interested in understanding, what happens if you don't have a patch, this and that. And so after about 15, 20 years, I started to move into security. And 2010, I really started to focus more into security while I was still doing some networking and some voice and some inside plant, outside plant work as a defense contractor overseas in Afghanistan. Spent 2 years over there, all over the country, doing all different kinds of technical jobs. And been in technology, like I said, since the 90s. And as a child, I was about 11 years old the first time I got exposed to pornography. I had my own battle with it into my late 20s. It actually led to the demise of 2 marriages. And after my second marriage fell apart, I had just reached out to my church counselor and just said, I need help. I need to do something. I keep messing up my families. And they told me there's a program in Kentucky, and I was living in South Florida at the time. And they said, there's a program in Kentucky. You can go to their live-in program and maybe they can help you there. And so I applied and I got accepted to the program. And in March of 2001, I moved from South Florida to Williamstown, Kentucky, and I entered the residential program. I graduated in January of 2002, and I moved back out into the regular world and just began kind of taking the steps that I had learned while I was in the program on how to live free from this stuff. And as I had, battled in, from 2002 until about 2020, I had fought with finding pornography, giving back over, putting filters in, trying a different filter, finding a way around it, hardening, getting another one, hardening it, finding a way around that one, and really just kind of had, my own battle with all of these parental control platforms, just trying to find the right filter to help make the boundaries a little tougher. Well, in 2020, my oldest son, Alex, he got sick in March of 2020, actually, and he went into the hospital and everything stopped. I went down to South Florida to be with him. And in that process, he ended up passing away due to complications from liver failure and a few other things. And I was devastated, obviously, as my oldest son. He was 26 years old. And I reached out to a counselor. I needed help again. I just was not doing well. And in that process, the Lord started healing me. I was kind of just questioning, why and all of these things. I was actually in my battle. I had been working towards getting a certification as a biblical counselor to help men like me that were struggling. I had begun a purity group at our church, and I was leading that group, facilitating that group, and going through some of the curriculum from Pure Life Ministries week after week, and just sitting with other guys like me that were fighting and wanting to stay free from this stuff and the power that it has. And as I'm going through this counseling now for the death of my son, I met the counselor's name was Chuck Steinmetz, and as I'm working with Chuck, I'm healing, I'm getting a little better. And he says to me one day, you're kind of technical, right? And I was like, yeah, I know some stuff. And I was, being modest, but I was like, what's up? And he said, man, I got some counselees. They're really struggling with technology. Can you help their families make their devices, more difficult to get access to this stuff? And I was like, man, after everything the Lord has done for me through your ministry, just tell the families to call me. I'm not even going to charge them. Just have them call me. And so Chuck was like, well, it's up to you if you want to charge them or not. I'll let you know if they have, the ability to pay. If not, do it just kind of helping them out. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Well, they called, and the people, the families were calling, and I was walking them through over the phone on how to secure their router and how to secure their mobile devices and how to, just make things difficult so that, there's so much out there already readily available. And I was just showing them how to make it difficult. And so the families kept calling, and my wife says to me one day, she says, why do we have to wait until they're bound up in idolatry, in addiction? Can we help families before they're addicted? And I was like, oh my gosh, woman, yes, you're a genius. Absolutely, we can help families before this becomes an addiction. And that's where ArkCybr was born, out of my own personal struggle, my own grief going back to counselor, and then my own, just my own evil intention, finding ways around these filters. And then, the Lord took all of that I meant for evil, and he's using it for his purposes and his goods.
Just do something. Doing nothing is no longer an option.